Welcome back to the channel to another episode of Let 'Em Ride. It is June 10th, and in tonight's video, I will be going over my lanes and my analysis for tomorrow night's WNBA slate on June 11th. There's 3 different games. If you've bet the WNBA before, you know that these lines, they get to move them with a quickness as soon as they drop. They're up and down all over the place, so if you know which side that you're on, as far as spread, as far as the total, it's best to get those bets in as early as possible. And if you're new to the WNBA, as far as betting, this is how it goes. It's best to get it in as soon as you can. So I'm going to try to get these videos out to you guys as soon as possible. That way you can gather the information, analyze the data, and make an informed decision on your own as to which side that you want to roll with. So we won't waste any more time. Let's hop right into this. We have the Washington Mystics traveling to Atlanta to take on the Dream. Washington is 0-12 currently, seeking out that first win. They are 6-5 against the spread. The Dream are sitting at 5-4, and they are 4-5 against the spread. The Dream are currently 7.5-point favorites at the time of this recording, with the over/under sitting at 156. Shakira Austin is listed as questionable in this game, and if she's able to lace them up and give it a go, that'll be a huge boost for Washington, as they're missing both her and Brittany Sykes, who is still out with that ankle injury, and they've missed these two a lot. These two offenses are the worst in the W currently. The Dream are ranked 11th, the Mystics are ranked 12th, and they're both shooting only 40% from the field currently. Although the Dream are much more efficient with the ball, they are only turning it over 13 times a game, and that's good for second best in the league. Where these two teams really differ is on the defensive end of things, where the Mystics are ranked 11th in defensive rating, and the Dream are ranked 5th. So I'm slightly leaning towards the Dream here, but it is a very, very, very slight lean. They've won 4 straight now over Washington. They've gone 3-1 against the spread in those games. And they have a defense that ranks top 5 in many different categories, so they should be able to roll a Mystics team that's struggling with injuries and just struggling to find ways to score in general. But with that said, the Mystics have been able to keep games a lot closer than you would expect, and you got to figure they break into the win column at some point, right? Do I think that's today? I don't, but I'm not willing to put my money behind that. Okay, so there's no need to force anything here. We're just going to slightly lean Atlanta on the spread here and probably just leave it there. This is probably not one that I touch personally. With that said, I do like the under here. Their meeting a couple weeks ago landed well under this number. And with the struggles of both offenses, coupled with the defense that Atlanta is capable of playing, I see this being a struggle to get over this 156 number, even though it is pretty low for a WNBA game. I just don't see either of these teams lighting it up, especially Washington. So next up, we have the Sparks traveling to Seattle to take on the Storm. Sparks are 4-7, going 4-6-1 against the spread. Storm are 7-4, both straight up and against the spread. Seattle is sitting as an 11-point favorite currently at the time of recording, with the over/under at 158. This begins a 7-game road trip for the Sparks, who they're coming off a huge win against the Aces, where they battled back from a 14-0 hole to start that game. And then they used a massive run in the third quarter to take the lead and really just never look back. Derricka Hamby, she's playing like an MVP candidate right now. She's, averaging 20 points per game. That's good for 5th in the W. And the supporting cast did their thing, man, against the Aces. They shot 40% from deep, 49% overall, and they withstood very big games from Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson to get that done. The Storm are coming off a tough loss on the road to Minnesota, where they held the lead going into halftime, but then they were dominated in the second half, being outscored by 24 points. Joy Lloyd, she leads the way for Seattle, averaging 20 points per game. She's got support from Nico Ogamike, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Ezzy Magbegor. They're all scoring in double figures on average as well. Looking at some head-to-head team stats and rankings, the Storm and the Sparks are both middle of the pack in terms of offensive efficiency, with the Storm ranking 6th and the Sparks ranking 8th. LA is also 8th in defensive rating, while Seattle ranks 3rd. The Storm are also 1st in the W in rebounding and are 3rd in offensive rebounding, while the Sparks rank 11th in offensive boards and 8th overall. The Storm also are sitting at 1st in blocks, 5th in opponent points in the paint, which does not bode well for the Sparks in this one, as LA likes to shoot from inside 5 feet. 45% of their shots are coming in the paint. I like the Storm in a bounce back here. I think it's a good spot for them after that blowout loss to Minnesota and being back at home for this one. And I can see this being a letdown for the LA Sparks after that huge win over Las Vegas. As far as the total here, I'm leaning over, but I think I like the Seattle team total over more than anything else in this one. Seattle's going to get theirs in this game. They rank 2nd in pace, and I just have a hard time getting behind the Sparks and their ability to score enough to hit that point total. I see some regression here. I don't see them shooting the way that they did against Vegas 2 times in a row, and especially against a Seattle team that plays good defense. All right, our last game of the night, we have the Lynx traveling to Vegas to play the Aces. The Lynx are 8-3, 9-2 against the spread, and the Aces are 5-4, only 3-6 against the spread. The Aces are favored by 7.5 in this one, with the over/under sitting at 163. The Lynx are coming off that big win over Seattle that we just talked about, in which they shot 55% from deep, and they won that one by 19, dominating in the second half. Minnesota is currently 4-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 5. The Aces are coming off that loss to the Sparks, but they shot 42% from deep, 44% overall. And they had huge games from Asia and Plum, but defensive breakdowns and mental lapse really allowed the Sparks to erase an early 14-point lead that Vegas had built. The Aces, after winning 5 of 6 and starting to build some momentum, have now lost 3 of their last 4, going 1-3 against the spread in that time as well. The Aces are continuing to miss Chelsea Gray. They really need her back, and they are struggling on the defensive end as well, only ranking in the middle of the pack in terms of opponents' points per game and field goal percentage, and they are dead last in opponents' three-point percentage. Both these teams can score. They're in a 3-way tie with the Liberty for points per game. They're all averaging right around 85 points per game. But Minnesota does rank better defensively, sitting at second in the W in defensive rating, while the Aces are only 7th. Minnesota holds an 8-point advantage over Vegas in terms of net rating, sitting at second in the W, just underneath the New York Liberty. I like the Lynx to cover here. They're looking to avenge a 14-point loss at home to the Aces a couple weeks ago. They're just playing better ball overall. I'd like to say that this is a good bounce-back spot for the Aces, but it's not. You're playing a very good Minnesota team, and I can't be convinced to put my money on the Aces covering a 7.5-point spread against them. And I'm also leaning under here. I think if I feel like the Lynx are going to control and dictate the pace of this game, then they're going to slow the pace down as well and make the Aces work for every point that they get. This should be a grind between, two of the better in the W and two teams that are trying to assert their places at the top of the league. All right, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of Let 'Em Ride. Thanks for joining in, and be sure to check in that pinned comment down below later on for any plays that I'm rolling with on these 3 games. That way you can choose whether you want to ride with your boy or fade the hell out of me. Be sure to put in the comments whatever you're deciding to do. I want to know where your guys' heads are at and what you're thinking as well. And also, if you like what we're doing here, you enjoy the analysis and the picks that we're giving out, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and, if you want to share it so that the rest of the world can get in on this action as well, I ain't going to be mad. I'd appreciate it. So I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. You have a great day. Best of luck. Let's make some money, y'all.